Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Out of Our League. We have some amazing guests. Obviously, I am Phil J. Woodward. Right next to me somewhere, I actually don't know any of the locations for anybody today, is the wonderful dark screen with a logo in the middle of it. Ben, please be excited. How are you today?
What's up? Happy to be here, buddy. This is going to be a good time, you know?
Absolutely.
I'm great.
Also with us today, not producing. He gets to chill with our wonderful special guest, Gage. GF2 Cool. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. How does it feel not to be hosting or producing? Just getting to chill on an episode.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little wrong, but I'm gonna try to enjoy it.
Nice.
You don't have any jobs today, Gitch.
No jobs.
I know.
0 jobs. And then we have our wonderful producer, McKenna.
Woo!
Potter
Hello.
Pants. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing well. Before we get to our special guest, I do have to say one thing to him. I mean, it might be her, him. I don't know. 1 second. I just want to say, MCFixer, you're pretty good.
Well, thanks.
And if-
Thanks.
If that wasn't enough of an indication, our wonderful special guest today is none other than MCFixer. How are you doing today?
I made it. Finally. They had this Gino guy on before me. This Mario guy on before me. This Greg
Big
Miller
time.
guy on before me. But I made it, Mum. Mum, we did it. We did it. We made it. We made
You're
it.
big
Thank you
time
very
now,
much for having
Fix.
me.
This is how you know you've made it.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting for my moment to come on and share my story with my people. And today I get to do that. So thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. Speaking of Gino, he's actually the first community question. And it's not even a question. He just says, Fixer likes Final Fantasy 14 now. Tell him I say, you're welcome.
I mean, let's keep it 100. If we're keeping it all the way 100, I do now like Final Fantasy 14, unfortunately, and I've got to say it is probably Gino's fault. If I'm being honest, I went on his podcast and they were talking about it, and I was like, I'm not playing this game. And then me and my whole community, my whole Discord and stuff, we were like, I want an MMO to play. I want an MMO to play. It's like, you know what? I'm a new Final Fantasy fan because the old games were all text-based and I'm dyslexic and reading is like, back then was just a whole thing. So I played 15, finally played that, beat that. I was like, oh man, I like Final Fantasy. Then Remake came out, 7, played through that with I don't know any of the spoilers for anything. So played through the whole of that, loved it. I was like, I'll give this Final Fantasy 14 a go. Oh, I'm deep, let me tell you. Level 42 Paladin. Whew. So I'm deep. I have to blame Gino. It's Gino's fault. It's Gino's fault, definitely.
Always
That's
Gino's
awesome,
fault. Yeah.
I've definitely always played and toyed with the idea of trying Final Fantasy 14, but every time I turn it on, it feels so daunting. And I just haven't quite felt like I've had the time or gumption to commit to it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where it's like, for me, I'm playing it super casual. It's one of the only MMOs that I have started where I felt my time's kind of been respected in a way where it's like, it doesn't feel very like, oh, do this. It can, on the map, it looks like it's crazy, right? But if you just stick to the main quest, that's all I'm doing. I've got my code ready now where I'm like, oh, you're blue now. Okay. I like that.
I have no idea what just
Anyway,
happened.
don't worry about that. This happens all the time. For me, I just love the world. I'm not caring about the story. I'm literally skipping all the cutscenes, skipping all the story. Don't care. I'm going to watch a YouTube video of like what is actually going on. I just really enjoy this moment of gameplay and being able to play with a group of people. That is like, there's like 10 of us in my Discord all playing it, and we've all started from scratch. So that's kind of the part that we're liking the most, is like all of us learning how to play the game, stuff like that. I wouldn't play it just me, I don't think, personally.
And I think that's been kind of one of my challenges getting into it, is I have always tried playing it by myself. And Ben recently has been trying to get me to play, so I might get in there. We'll see.
Do it.
It's getting
Do
in there,
it
you know?
after E3. Don't do it
But-
before E3. Just wait.
And after
Before we get too off the rails, for those who may not know who you are, I know this is a fairly kind of funny best friend heavy audience that we have, so most people that are going to watch this know who you are. However, for the people that may watch it that don't, who is MCFixer?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot since I first started. So yeah, my name's MCFixer. I'm a full-time content creator on platforms such as Twitch. I'm a Twitch partner and YouTube. Kind of funny best friend. Obviously, I've always said that it's the thing that got me started in content creation, really. And yeah, I create videos online, and just try and have a good time. Honestly, the whole point of when I started this was I wanted to meet like-minded people who enjoyed games. I was the only person in my friendship group who was into games in like a big way, other than playing Call of Duty or FIFA or sports titles. And I just wanted to create a place where I could share my love for video games. Huge Resident Evil nerd. Most people know that about me. But yeah, I'm a gamer at heart. I think I'm very business-minded now. A lot of people have spoken to me about that. Like I give tips online, obviously, about streaming just because I've been doing it now for 7 years. Been a full-time content creator for 2 years, maybe a little bit more now. And yeah, when you do something for a really long time, you pick up on the things not to do. I always say I've made every single mistake there is to make. Like, this isn't when I say to people, don't do this thing, it's not because I'm like judging you. It's more a case of I've already done that and made that mistake, spamming people's inboxes, or it's not calling the kettle black here. It's just like, I know what that did for me, so let me try and help you not make the same mistakes that I already made. You know, that's kind of who MCFixer is. Nice guy, smiles a lot, loves hugs, and loves talking about content creation.
Hugs are great. You know.
Speaking of hugs, I think we actually have a community question about them.
Oh man,
Was that you, Ben?
Yes, it is, isn't it? We have a question here from Sightful Rage. Word on the street is that Fixer gives out hugs to kind of funny best friends. 1, is this true? 2, if so, and we're both in attendance at the next KF UK meetup, can I get one of those hugs?
100% yes. Yeah, I do this thing at live events where obviously if I see anybody wearing kind of funny merch, I instantly go and approach them, which is probably kind of intimidating to people. And I don't mean to, but it's just the fact of like seeing other people who like the thing that I love. Like, I just want to get to know you. I want to meet you. I want to get to know you. I want to learn about you. I want to invite you to. I do a lot of the like the UK meet and greets and things like that. Meet and greets, meetups and stuff like that for the community-based stuff. Me and a few other people. Obviously, Mark Freeman's helped out every now and then, sorting a lot of things out as well, who plays a big role in the KF community, which I'm sure we all know who that is. And yeah, I do this thing where if I see anybody, there's a moment I posted on Twitter the other day, which was just me and Haley were walking through the show floor recording something, and I saw someone, so I just literally stopped. It was like, dude, duh, 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 duh. And then I was like, oh, I usually just start with a hug, and like he was like, yeah, give me a hug. So we hugged. I love it. I don't know what it is. It's just this weird thing of like the kind of funny community obviously means a lot to me, and like I've been a part of it now since day zero. Like, because I was following Greg before kind of funny was even a thing. Like, I was listening to him on Beyond and stuff like that, right? So I don't know. I sort of just taken the mantra of best friends on in a really big way. And I just, yeah, I'll give anybody a hug. I'm terrible for it because again, there's people that don't like hugs. So like, you have to learn those boundaries, right? Of like, you look at a person, I'm like, I can tell you don't want me to touch you, so I'm not going to touch you, but I want to, but I'm not going to. It's okay. I'm not going to hug you. So yeah, but everyone can have a hug. Trust me. Anyone.
There you go, Sightful. Great answer. Great answer.
So, what was it that made you decide you wanted to go into full-time content creation? Like, what was the trigger? Like, obviously you started doing it, you were figuring things out. What was it that made you go, I want to do this full-time, I'm going to try and do this full-time?
So I always say to people, I get that DM.
Oh.
Fixer, I'm thinking about going full-time. Fixer, I'm thinking about doing this. Fixer, I'm thinking about doing that. And the thing, I'm in a very, very, very fortunate position. Believes in me no matter what. Go on.
I was gonna say, wait 1 second. It looks like your camera's tripping out. You're sounding like a robot.
Oh no! Do I sound
So
like a robot?
I wanted to. Well, not anymore. You're back. I just wanted to give it a second
Okay.
so it could catch up. Okay, sorry.
Cool.
Let's try again.
No, you're good. Yeah. So for me, what I found when it comes to full-time content creation is I have a lot of people message me constantly about what do I do to become a full-time content creator. I am not even in a position myself where I should be a full-time content creator. Like the perception of like Fixer's doing it, I get that a lot of like, oh, you've made it. I'm like, have I? I don't feel like I've made it. Like I don't feel like I'm doing anything different to what anybody else is doing, right? So for me, I wanted to be full time because obviously being full time is the dream. It's to make money doing the thing that you love, right? But I've never been in content creation for making money. I've always everything that I do to be happy. I've worked at McDonald's, I've worked at Argos, I've worked at Clark's. Those are retail stores in the UK for people who don't know what they are. I've done security, I've been a refurbisher. I've done so many different jobs in my lifetime and I've hated them. So for me, it was a case of, I want to do something that makes me happy. My fiance is a teacher and she believes in what it is I'm trying to build and achieve and do. And for me, it was a case of, all right, well, my outgoings are really low because we lived at home, or we lived in an annex at the time when I decided to go full time, where was my fiance's aunt's annex. So we was living there, rent cheap, much cheaper than it would be in London normally. And I was like, do you know what? Now is the time for me to try and do this. I was young at the time, so nearly 30 now, 29 this year. But I was like, well, now is the only time I'm going to get to do it. By the time I have a kid or have a mortgage over my head or have proper rent over my head, I'm never going to get the chance to actually try and pursue this full time. So yeah, I just took a leap, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It's being a full-time content creator to people, I think it's like, oh, I'm making loads of money and I'm doing all this. It's like there's different scales to what we do, right? Where not all of us are kind of funny and not all of us are these one-man armies of YouTubers. It's like mine is very much diverse places of getting money. There's Patreon, there's Twitch, there's YouTube revenue, there's sponsorship content. And then you build it all together and there's like, oh, this is still not a monthly normal wage that I'm making. But I believe that I'm going to get to the place of which I want to get in the end. And I knew that I had to put my all into that to achieve that. Sorry, that was a long answer for probably a question of that didn't need as long. I apologize.
Oh, the longer the better. We always love the great long explanations.
We
for
love it
stuff.
long
Really
here,
gives us-
Fix. Yeah.
Whoa. Yes.
Okay.
What he
Okay.
said. We're gonna go with that. So I totally lost my train of thought. Thank you, Ben.
Sorry, Phil.
This is fun.
He likes it long. He likes it long. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. No stress.
Gage, did you have a community question?
Sure, I can try to get us back on track. So this one comes in from Nicholas Blaine at Shotgun McPain on Twitter.
I know him.
Yeah, he asks, "Is the Resident really that evil?"
Is the Resident really that evil? No, my residents are pretty nice, actually, to be honest with you. But Shotgun edits for me, so he sees all things behind the scenes when it comes to MCFixer. Is Resident evil? Is the Resident really that evil? I'd say no. The Resident's not really that evil. They're usually pretty nice, the Residents. You just got to get to know them.
Unless they're
You know?
zombies.
Oh, the zombies here, they suck. Sorry, I forgot about those people. I forgot about them. Yeah, they're a pain in the butt, but everybody else is fine, you know?
So you were talking about, full-time wages and things like that. And do you think you would be happy if you could literally just support yourself? Like, even if it wasn't going beyond, so like you were starting to make quote unquote mad money. If you could just get that, like, I don't know what living wage is, but we'll say 3,500 pounds a month or something like that.
For me, yeah, this is always my business plan. This is all what I thought. I want to convince 1,000 people to give me £1 a month on Patreon. I'll make £1,000 a month, and then everything else that I make will be a bonus. I come from a council estate. I come from the projects, I think it is in America. So for me, like I never grew up with money. Money wasn't a thing that we've had. So just being able to put food on the table for me, again, I was saying it beforehand, but I think I cut out, which was my fiance is a teacher and she's enabled me to be able to have the career that I've had so far and put everything into it. She takes she's the breadwinner of our family. Haley. Most people know Haley. If you don't know her, Haley's my fiance, so I'll just reference her to there now. Haley is the breadwinner of our family. Without her belief and without her, I wouldn't be able to do all this. So for me, it was never about. It's never ever been about making ridiculous amounts of money. It was always to make a livable wage, and a livable wage to me, I was making £800 a month in McDonald's and thinking I was rich. Like, to me, I was making good money working at McDonald's. I just wasn't happy. So for me now, it's like, oh, what is the threshold of happiness? It's just to make enough money to cover all of my bills, and boom, I'm good. Like, some people get into this for different reasons, right? Some people want to be the next Ninja or the next this person or that person. I just got into it to be happy. So money is a necessity that you need to live, but it isn't the necessary. I don't do, like, I've been offered loads of sponsorships for different, like, mobile companies and stuff like that. It's like, and they pay really good money, to be honest with you. But I'm just like, but that's disingenuous to my audience. It's not something that I believe in. I'm not going to take that. It's not for me, because it's not about the bag for me. It's never been about the bag. It's just about creating good and fun and enjoyable content. But yeah, the goal is always to make enough money to live. And that will change. As I have a kid, I will need more money. As we move and want to move out of this place where we're at, we're going to need more money for that, right? So it's a scale that's ever moving. But yeah, no, money's not like the be all and end all for me ever. It's never has been, never will be, really, to be honest. Happiness, always happiness.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have been trying my hand at trying to figure out what I want to do with content creation. I was in a position where, creatively, like, I didn't do anything anymore. I pretty much just watched content and that was it. And then KFAF happened and it kind of got me back into Photoshop, and that got me more engaged with the Kind of Funny community. That's how I found out about your streams and stuff like that. And so I started branching out and then doing more original art, not just Photoshops. And then that led into quarantine, which led me to meet a bunch of really cool Kind of Funny best friends. And we started Simply Sassy, and it all started with a silly, dumb video about Nick Scarpino, and it kind of blew up from there. And I realized, like, this is something that I enjoy doing. What parts of this are the things that I really enjoy? And obviously, stuff like this, Out of Our League, is one of my favorites. Doing the Photoshop challenge is one of my favorites. Doing those two things every week just brings me joy. It doesn't matter that we only pull in like 60 viewers on Photoshop challenges and like 150 on Out of Our Leagues. That like, it's the getting to know someone. Like, recently we had like Prince Jackson on, and he and I have been sharing some fun dialogues off of or on Twitter ever since we had him on for the show. And it's so cool to be able to meet people like you, and be able to meet people like Noah Watts and Raul Coley, and have a dialogue with Greg Miller and all those wonderful people.
Not Gino, not Gino, right? Not Gino.
No, not Gino.
I wasn't on that episode, so technically I haven't even got to do it Out of Our League with Gino.
Perfect.
He also didn't get the "you're pretty good," so
there you go. There you go. Made it.
But anyway, all of this is a convoluted way of saying, like, I'm still trying to figure myself out as far as what I want to do. I tried a little bit of streaming, but I don't think video game streaming is for me. I definitely still want to do some streaming stuff. Like, I had a lot of fun doing like top 10 with Phil and Ben and some other stuff like that.
Great show.
Yeah, it's coming back soon.
Season 2.
But how did you figure out that gaming was the thing that you want to do? And is there anything else that you would love to do to branch out? Obviously you have your podcast that you do, My Xbox and Me, which is a freaking fantastic name, and I love how you blended the logo into the face buttons of the Xbox controller.
Thank
really
you.
cool. And
sorry.
No, and that's basically where I was going with that. Is like, where would you want to see your content go? What is your favorite parts of content creation? And yeah.
I mean, for me, I try and stick to what I'm good at, right? And I've learned very quickly that editing's not my passion. I do not love editing. So I brought in Shotgun McPain to do my editing now on my Let's Plays. So what I try and do is just delegate the jobs I don't enjoy doing to other people. And again, I'm not in a position to really be pan and editor, but for me, it's like, well, this is going to benefit the company MCFixer as a company, right? The things I love doing is talking. Talking is my bread and butter. It's what everyone's always told me since I was a kid that I'm good at. Oh, you're very good at talking. You're really good at talking. And I used to be a musician full time. So being on stage and performing and stuff like that comes very natural to me, I guess, where like other people get nervous in front of crowds. I do not. Jumping up on a stage doesn't bother me. Like that's where I live and I thrive the most, I feel like. And my content is I've done every sort of piece of content you can think of in the gaming space of like, oh, I'm gonna do build videos and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And though I understand the algorithm, like if you want to make it big on YouTube, make list videos, make build videos, make searchable content, SEO friendly content is how you will grow a YouTube channel. But that's not what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing Resident Evil Revisited, right? Where we break down every single Resident Evil game, really nitty gritty, and get down to what we love and hate about the game. And to me, that's more enjoyable content for me. So for me, I just enjoy reaction contents where I now live on YouTube. It's the thing that gets me the most views, and I enjoy doing it because I enjoy sharing that moment with an audience of like, oh my god, this thing just dropped, and I get to freak out about it. Or on the other side, not freak out about it. Like it goes one way or another. It's not always just happiness. Like I remember when the Resident Evil Village trailer dropped and they showed werewolves for the first time, and I was like, oh, this isn't what I want from Resident Evil. And I just remember the comments like, this guy's an idiot, this guy's an idiot. I'm like, yeah, I am an idiot, but I'm going to share everything about me being an idiot, whether it's the good or bad, right? And stuff I'd like to do, I mean, I love podcasting. Podcasting is the best. Like doing my Xbox to me once a week is the most fun I have every week. Sitting down and talking about the thing that I play on every week. Again, people box me in and call me an Xbox guy, which I'm not. I play everything. I have everything. I've got a PC. I've got an Xbox. I've got a PlayStation 5. I've got a Switch. I've got an Ouya. You know, I've got them all. So for me, I picked Xbox because, again, I was a Kind of Funny fan, and my dream was to work for Kind of Funny. Like a lot of us, that's like the dream. That's where we want to get to, right? And at the time, I started my Xbox to me 5 years ago. They didn't have an Xbox podcast then. They had a PlayStation podcast. And I was like, well, cool. I know what I'll do. I'll plug myself in I'm in that community already. I will be the equivalent. When you think Kind of Funny and you go, oh, they don't have an Xbox guy, hopefully I can get in your mind and think, oh, Fixer's got an Xbox podcast. And that's kind of what happened at the start. That's how we started building an audience and stuff. The Kind of Funny Facebook group was big for that. The logo, people gravitated towards the My Xbox and Me logo so much. Just off that logo alone, we grew an audience. And I was like, wow, this was just a dumb idea that I sort of had in my head. And my then fiance drew on a piece of paper. And then we got it made by Kevin Tarney, and it just blew up from there. But the things I love most, podcasting, talking, and just sharing anything that I'm passionate about and reacting to things is probably where I love doing the most. Things I'd like to do more, music. I miss doing music, but I wasn't ever very good at music. Like I would never sit here and tell you like, oh, yeah, I was this really fantastic rapper and I wrote everything myself. No, I had a ghostwriter. I used to have a studio in my bedroom. So me and my group, which used to be called AG Fly, they would all come around and we would all write together and stuff like that. But there's something special about making a piece of music that not everyone will understand because not everyone's into music like that, right? But writing down your feelings on a piece of paper and then being vulnerable enough to share that with somebody is an amazing feeling. So I miss doing that. I miss being able to write. But again, everyone critiques things so much nowadays. It's scary to put yourself out there like that as well, right? Because you'll write this piece of music, which is like a breakup or you've lost a family member, and then someone comes along, yeah, this is crap. Don't do this again. And you're just like, oh, man, this meant something to me. So yeah, I kind of dabble with the idea. Obviously, MCFixer, that's where it come from. It's not Mick. It's not Mac. It's nothing else. It's just MCFixer. You can just call me Fixer or Fix. It's easy as that. But yeah, it's a passion. Music's my passion. I love doing it. I miss doing it, and I'd love to get back to it.
All right. So on that note, I'm gonna go into one of our community questions really quick, and it's I want to get this one out of the way just because you just mentioned it, and if you could be or have any McDonald's meal, kind of like the new BTS meal or whatever, what would it be? What would be in it, and what would it be called? And would it be called the McFixer? That's from Matt
Would it be
Ferguson
called the
over on Twitter.
McFixer? Oh my god! I knew there'd be a McDonald's question always. I used to do this thing at McDonald's when I used to work there, and obviously I'm a big boy. So we'll start off. Forget the burgers, forget the fries, all of that stuff. Rubbish. Just give me a McFlurry with whatever toppings they have there at the time. So whether they got the special Galaxy or the Oreo, you know, they've always got that special one where it costs 29 pence or cents more. You're like, hold up a minute. Why does this cost me more? This is a joke. Give me all of them put in together. Then get me an apple pie. Cut the apple pie in half and put the apple pie in the ice cream. There you go. Don't forget the meal. You don't need any of that. The sweet stuff's where it's at. I love sweet stuff.
Sounds
What are you
amazing.
eating? Hold up.
Oh my
You got MCFixer in the podcast and you're eating? Damn, I thought it's professional out here, guys. Jeez Louise, how dare you, sir? I'm messing.
I don't know if anyone's used professional to describe this show.
This is what happens. You don't have
true.
to produce, right? You don't have to produce. So he's like, hey, I'm just gonna sit back and relax. I'm here for the show out here, baby. I'm messing with you, but yeah, that's what I'd have personally. Just get that.
So what would you call it then? Would it be like the Fixer Surprise,
Attack.
the McFixer, the what would it?
A heart attack.
Heart Attack. All right.
Number
I
one
like it.
seller.
I'm
That'd
gonna
be
give you one if you eat too many of them. Let's be honest. I'm glad I got the producer with that one. Someone laughed at my jokes. Hey, I'm doing a good job here. I'm doing a good job here.
Incredible.
So back to a more real question. I don't know if you know Magnus on YouTube. He's a gentleman that went from his whole goal was to go from 0 to 1 million subscribers, and he would always be like, you know, journey to 1 million subscribers, and his big thing was reaction videos. And he's I think he's broken 1 million a while ago. I think he might even be at 2 million now. But it always fascinated me how popular reaction videos were and are. I
Yeah.
kind of get it because I watched like the kind of funny stuff, and I've seen some of your reaction videos, mostly to Resident Evil stuff.
Except
My problem with reaction videos is I always tend to like want to watch it right away. So the idea of waiting until I can get set up and with a camera and then watching it is like, I'm like, no, the temptation is too much. I
that's
gotta
the
watch
business
it right
part
now.
of it.
Right.
That's where the work comes in. That's what I try and explain that to people all the time. Where they're like, again, doing content creation has lost me a lot of friends. It's lost me family members. It's lost like. There's so much to be gained, but there's so much to lose. Like I've missed birthday parties. I've missed like wedding receptions. Like seriously, this is not a joke. Like these are things that I've missed because of the job. Of like, I remember we're trying to go to Texas for Haley's cousin's wedding in July, and I remember saying to her like, if E3 is the same week we're going, I am not going. And that on itself sounds like you're such a brat and you're such an arsehole and you're such this and you're such that. Right on the surface level, it's like E3 is the biggest time of the year for reaction content. I will be reacting to every single show, which then can turn out to be, I can churn out 30 videos in one, sirens on my end, in one session of like time. Like people don't get it, and that's to your like I specifically run home sometimes. I'll be out and be like, hey, we gotta go. It's like, why? It's like, new trailer just dropped for this. Duh, duh, duh. I'm like, so? It's like, well, I need to hit the SEO. I need to get home, react to it, and hit the SEO. Because if I don't hit the algorithm, that video's not going to get any views. That's the business element of what we do. While it's fun and enjoyable to do what we do, there is a business side to this. And it's like, if you don't, I found with my reaction videos, if I do not react within the first 2 to 3 hours, usually I react straight away. But if it's anything outside of that, I don't even bother posting it. I just watch it on my own. You'll notice that I didn't react to the Resident Evil Netflix trailer that went up because I was out at the time, and like obviously to me that makes perfect sense. I love Resident Evil. Why would I not react to that? It was like 4 days after. It's like nobody cares. The algorithm's been and gone by that point, you know. Like nobody is searching for my reaction specifically because I'm not big enough. So if I can't get in that SEO engine, there's just no point in doing it. So to your credit, like you get to just keep enjoying it for yourself, honestly, because when you turn it into the work of it, it takes a little bit away from it, unfortunately. But yeah, that wasn't a question. I just wanted to say it.
I know exactly what you're talking about though, because when Mortal Kombat 10 came out, I went really hard into like trying to put up like videos of the fatalities and like different combo videos, trying to be like the first person to get those out there. And then when I went to go upload the first like, I don't know, 10 or so, there was already days, people had days ahead of me in the content. And I was like, wow, okay, so no one's gonna care.
Well, because you didn't get a preview code, I assume, or like an
right.
early access code. So
Right.
you're already there is someone who will have reached out for early access, and that is what they do. They will sit there and get all the fatalities. I stopped doing like long plays of games anymore because again, there are people out there, number one, that do it better than me. I learned that very early on. Hence why I love streaming it on Twitch, because I get to share it with a live audience. But on the other side, like I got Resident Evil early, right? I could have literally sat there, blitzed through the whole game, recording it. Then I could have edited it all. But I'm competing against people that have already got millions upon millions who watch their long plays. So to me, it was just pointless. So it's like carving out a little portion of the internet of what you're good at and just driving forward with that is what always seems to work for me. You know, that's at least what I've experienced.
To switch it up a little bit, what is your favorite content to watch? Just hearing you talk about it made me think of that question.
One-on-one interviews with people is the best thing that I love to watch, because I think a one-on-one interview is a little bit more, you get a little bit more out of the person, but not through Zoom, face-to-face. One-on-one, face-to-face, I feel like you can feel the energy in the room and really get a sense of the two people, the interviewer and the interviewee. If you are someone that is good at interviewing, Greg's fantastic at it. The gentleman on Hot Ones, I forget his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about though.
I can't remember his name now. Sean Evans, thank you. Yeah, like those two are the ones that stick in my mind straight away, of like people that can get the best out of somebody speaking. Because you need to tap a person. I've done like interviews at like Comic-Con with like Troy Baker and Nolan North and a bunch of other celebrities, and it's not the way. It's like the woman at Comic-Con will be like, "You got 3 minutes." You're like, "What the hell am I meant to do with 3 minutes?" Like, in 3 minutes, the person needs to just talk about the thing they're there to promote. And I'm like, well, no, I want to sit. If I'm sitting down with Troy Baker, I'm like, you're a kind of funny best friend. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your music. Then we'll get to the thing that we have to get to, the business part of it, which is Troy Baker's in the new Call of Duty. Like, there's something special about one-on-one interviews that I can sit there and just watch, and day after day after day after day. Like, yeah, I love it. What about you guys? Like, what's your favorites if we had to go around?
I mean, definitely interview content for me is, again, I mean, that's one of the inspirations behind the show, and why we've been continuously trying to reach out to amazing guests and get people on, is because as much as I love watching it, I also love doing it. And so that's absolutely, I agree. It doesn't necessarily have to be a one-on-one interview for me, though. I just love that insight. I love diving deep into someone's consciousness and getting in there and really talking, seeing what they like to talk about. I don't watch too many, like you were just saying, I don't watch too many of those interviews where it's like, oh, IGN's interviewing somebody about an upcoming game or movie, because they usually have a script. They usually have a certain selection of questions that they have the ability to ask. On the flip side, rapid fire questions, like I think Game Informer does like the 100 rapid fire questions. I find those videos kind of fun because some of those have some wild questions in there and get some fun answers. But yeah, that's definitely, I agree. Interview content is one of my favorites. How about Gage?
Me next? Okay. For me, it's probably like documentary series. Like I love what NoClip does, where they go into studios and stuff, and they actually sit down with people, and you kind of get that more. Again, it kind of fits in simultaneously with that one-on-one interview thing, because they're talking to these people about things that have happened in the past, and you kind of get to learn about these people's individual lives, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm fascinated about all that behind the scenes video game industry stuff that they do over there. So I'd probably have to say specifically no clip.
I think it helps that you are an Unreal Engine designer and you've been working with Unreal Engine. So seeing what other people are doing and being able to kind of see behind the curtain of that world gives you some insight and inspiration into the things that you're working on and doing. Plus the things that you're passionate about. So that's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no clip's amazing.
Oh, Danny O'Dwyer's killing it over there. I mean, all the stuff with oh my gosh, why am I forgetting this right now? They do.
I watched the Dishonored one the other day. Yeah, they did. Oh, Arcane.
Arcane, thank you. Yeah, all the Arcane stuff that they've been doing, like the canceled games, the games that never made it, the games that did make it, why they didn't go farther, all that stuff has just been super interesting and really cool. I've been a huge Arcane fan since Arx Fatalis, so it's been really cool to see all that stuff coming up. How about you, McKenna?
Ben? Somebody.
I'm leaving Ben last. You actually forgot he was here.
They will forget about me.
Oh no. I mean, similar to Gage, I really like documentary type stuff. Like a few weeks ago, I'm just now getting into the world of sports. I watched a 6-hour-ish documentary on the Seahawks a few weeks ago. It was recommended
on Amazon, like, the Amazon one.
No, it was a fan made one on YouTube.
Okay,
but I'll check that one out too.
There's a series. There's a series called All or Nothing that you should watch on Amazon, and they've got a bunch of American football teams. That's how I got into American football, because I never really understood it to the extent that I wanted to. But I watched those, and I was like, oh man, this sport's really cool. So you should watch that, All or Nothing. Watch it.
Oh my god! Oh, I absolutely will. Oh my gosh, thank you. And I also really like behind the scenes, like how things are made. Like I've seen this one documentary on Foley artists, like, oh god, 3 or 4 times at this point, just because it's so interesting and just like seeing new things, how they're made and whatnot. That's mine.
Nice. Yeah, I'm more about the conversational shows, comedy podcasts, that kind of thing. But also reviews, I find just super fun. It's like, I love this thing, you love this thing. Let's talk about this and find out why it's so cool. So I really enjoy just reviews as well, which are really cool. But yeah, like a lot of you as well, behind the scenes stuff. Really love that, and just actually getting in there and seeing how things are made and what happens. So yeah, no, probably in the same vein mostly there.
I actually like review content, like whether it's positive or negative, almost just as much, because I really like to see one reason, because there's certain games that are so divisive in the way that people enjoy or don't enjoy them, and I really like to know, like, well, what didn't work for this person but totally worked for this person. That stuff is always interesting to see. So yeah, review content is definitely rad for sure.
We never did that Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast, did we?
No, I don't think we did. We were gonna.
Yeah, that would have been some.
Doing reviews are so scary, like especially when you get a game early. Like it's that weird thing of like, you get a game early. It happened with me with Biomutant. Like you get a game early, you're playing it, and you're not liking it, and you're like, I don't like this, and these are the reasons I don't like it. Then you put out your opinion with that, saying you don't like it, and then you literally go, well, at least I do, literally after that, you check everybody else's review to find out if you were the outlier. Was you the guy that didn't get it, right? Was you the person that wasn't interested in the game that people think is Game of the Year material? That stuff always scares me. I'm like, oh no, the publisher's going to think I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, the publishers don't care. I'm giving my opinion. That's literally my job on the internet, is to give my opinion as a games influencer or enthusiast press or wherever you put me nowadays. But yeah, reviewing games scares the crap out of me in terms of like worrying of like being that one guy. Like it goes both ways. I've been on both sides of it as well, where like you'll review something and everyone's like, you're an idiot. This person said this. I'm like, but you haven't even played the thing yet. You're calling me an idiot. You haven't even played it. I've played it. I'm telling you what I feel. Whatever. The internet.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when Mario Odyssey came out, there was like a Spanish reviewer, I believe it was a Spanish reviewer publication that just totally trounced on Mario Odyssey, like hated it, gave it like I want to say like a 4.5 out of 10, something like that. And they just got ripped apart in the comments of like, what are you smoking? Like, that's the worst review I've ever seen. Have you seen all the other reviews for this game? And it was a really interesting read, figuring out like what they didn't like about the game and breaking down kind of why they didn't like it. I thought it was really interesting. But as far as like that person, I can't even imagine what they felt like having to go through. Much like a lot of people on the internet, I think sometimes the kind of funny community is really nice in that respect, where people are generally pretty, they'll give you constructive criticism over, negative criticism. Obviously there are outliers there, and I know you've had your fair share of having those outliers hit against you. But I think looking at other stuff, like Alana Pierce is a great example of someone that gets a ridiculous amount of negativity for absolutely no reason, and I don't understand it. And
Well, it's because she's a woman in games, and people hate that. Like that's literally the reason why people go after her. That's the only reason why, and it's absurd.
Yeah, absolutely frustrating. But yeah, this idea that this guy probably got death threats over this review because he was bold enough to give his actual opinion on a video game. Like that's crazy and scary at the same time.
It's that thing though, like even if you take the video games out of it, right? Which is we're alluding to like the thing of like what happened with me as of kind of lately, which is you speak up about anything, and there are going to be a group of people who do not understand why you're speaking up, and how dare you speak up, and how dare you have something to say. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that happens on the internet, and you really do have to have thick skin to be able to deal with it. And that's like the thing that I've learned. And again, the kind of funny community is it's been my life. It's been my entire life. Like really has. Like I started helping doing like meetups in the UK. Obviously got to meet Greg, got to meet Nick a couple of times now, met Andy. Like people don't quite understand that like with everything that goes on, we'll talk about like the kind of funny creator stuff, right? That happens, and you got to remember in that video there's like 9 people in that video, right? And in that video, of those 9 people, 4 of them were my friends. 4 or 5, I might have got the numbers wrong. And they are sitting in a Discord call with me at the exact moment that I'm making these tweets and having these conversations, and I'm like, guys, we've got to be better. Like we have to be better, and we have to start thinking a little bit more, especially after the last couple of years that we've just had, which everyone loves to tweet about Black Lives Matter. Everyone loves to say this and say that, and then the one time we create the space for people, we're not including Black people, and I'm like, what's going on here? And it like you said, with Alana, it comes down to she's a woman in gaming, and then other people, it comes down to your ethnicity, and it just becomes this thing where people have a reason to attack you because they then make up a narrative in their head about you of like, I got that I'm an egotistical monster, I was jealous, and I was this and I was that, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, none of that is true. Not a single thing of that was true. But people wanted to make up a narrative about me, which it hurt me a lot. Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like that stuff hurts. It hurts a lot. And then you start taking a look at yourself. You go, oh, am I egotistical? It's like, oh no, I muck around. I'll go on podcasts and pretend my shit don't stink, and I'll pretend that I'm the best, and blah blah blah. But it's very much a character 99% of the time, or it's me just having a bit of fun on stream or something like that. And it just gets taken out of context sometimes. Like, well, guys, I'm not actually that person. I'm just a normal human being. Like, I think within our community, let's say, like with our community, people, we love to push people up, but then like when someone gets attacked for saying the right thing, people don't come running to your defense. Like that's the thing that hurt me the most. Of like, we all do the best friend thing, right? We're all best friends and we'll be there for each other and blah blah blah. And then one person gets attacked, gives their opinion, and everyone's like, I'll just stay quiet, I'll stay out of this. It's like, well, if you actually spoke up and said, well, that's not what happened, and that's not what happened, and that's not what happened, then that person may get a little less heat. But it didn't happen, and it's upsetting. But it's everything on the internet. The internet can be the best place ever. I've been robbed and then had to start a GoFundMe and got all of my stuff back through that GoFundMe. I've then obviously had a lot of hate on the internet for being black and for giving my opinions about video games or for speaking out about the network, and again, it weren't really even speaking about the network. It was just pointing out the fact I was disappointed that there was no black person. It had nothing to do with anything
Yeah.
other than that.
I think that
Like
was
it was
the hardest
weird.
thing because I found out about all of that. I think I talked to you in DMs. Like I was like, "What is
Yeah.
going on? What is happening?" Because I found out about a lot of this stuff later, and
I'm here.
the biggest problem was the response. The response is what triggered everything else. If the response had just been something like, "You're right. We have a great community here. We are going to try our better next in our next video that we put together to get somebody in there for representation." That would have been
But you know what I would have done? I just would have put, you know what, we overthought it. Sorry. And then at least I can go, well, you're a pain in the butt. You're bad, and you shouldn't have overthought it. It would have been done. That would have been it. It would have been like, that sucks that you overthought. You didn't need a black person in this, but I understand it. I'm human. I've got a podcast. Do you think I remember every single month that goes down, and you always have this person on or that person on? I forget, and I don't get it right. Like, we're all human beings, you know. We all make mistakes and we all forget things. But yeah, to come back at somebody for a piece of criticism, and again, I thought I was really light on that. Literally the tweet was, "I'm disappointed there were no black people." I could have went a hell of a lot harder in my response. And lucky again, I've got great people around me that say to me, "No, Fixer, do not say that," and "No, Fixer, do not say this," and "No, do not tweet that." And because you need that barrier, you need people to say, "No, you've done it." But yeah, it's a weird one. The internet's a weird place. The internet's a super weird place of like some of the best things in the world can happen, and some of the worst, especially for mental health, is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different minds, there's so many different opinions, there's so many different things that can set one person off to another as far as, triggering anything. So it just takes one thing to trigger something to go completely out of control.
Yep.
And
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And let me use this platform to say this, right? Because it's nice to have someone to say it. I never wanted the network to people to leave and it to become the thing. I suffer with anxiety and depression, right? So to put out an opinion out there, right, and go, "Oh my God, look what I've done." That was awful. For me to see all these posts coming out, and I was like, I get why people were doing it. I understood it, but I was like, oh no, like we've blown this out of proportion. Like, stay in the Discord, be the chain that needs to be. But it went, and I was like, oh man, this sucks. I know Sims. Sims is the man, like the guy that made it. He invited me. I know Sims. I've signed Sims's pop Funkle. I know his wife. I've met these people face to face. I've hugged these people, as we said at the start of the show, right? Like, this is never a malicious attack. It's more a case of like, just have a think about it. If you're gonna do something like that, try and include people. And yeah, whoever's running your social media, don't let them run your social media and come back at people snarkily for a valid piece of criticism, right? Like, yeah, but just to put that out there, like, there's no ill will from my side. There never was any ill will from my side on any of that. I wanted them to be successful, to see other kind of funny best friends uplifting each other, making content together. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? It would have been fantastic, and it still is. There's still a group there, and there's still a group of people doing amazing stuff in there. But I didn't like the way it all went down, and I didn't like the feeling that left inside me and the stories that were made up about me. It was nasty. I didn't like that, especially people that I considered. I don't use the friend word a lot. I try not to call everybody my friend, because I think it leads into this weird place of like, oh, I know you. It's like, well, you don't know me. Do you know my sister's name? Do you know my brother's name? Do you know my birthday? No. And they aren't the only things that qualify as you as a friend, right? But I try and keep people at arm's length just because I've been screwed over a lot. And then with this one, it was like, oh man, should I just shut up? No, because I still think I did the right thing, and I suppose I just have to live with that at the end of the day, and then let people have their opinions, which is hard. But yeah.
Absolutely. So that actually leads me into something that I was thinking about during this episode. We have Khalif Adams coming on next weekend, and he's done some amazing things for the space as far as bringing people of color into the spotlight and spotlighting what really cool people are doing, whether it's a podcast or a Twitch channel, or doing something amazing in the movie industry, like Evan Narcissus, is that how you pronounce his last name? He's the writer of Black Panther and or the comic and stuff like that, and he had him on, which I thought was totally rad and awesome. And so yeah, spotlighting these great creators out there. But at the same time, looking at how much disparity there is in that space still is crazy to me. Whether it's an ethnicity thing or a gender thing. I saw a post a while ago about like the top male earner on Twitch versus the top female earner on Twitch, and it was like a 10 times difference or more of what they were making money wise, and stuff like that's just crazy to me. And like that has to be just mentally affecting, like every day you turn that camera on.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't. Do you know what? The truth, the truth. I hadn't thought about it until George Floyd, because I didn't quite realize it to the same. I'm not one of these people that's. I wasn't one of these people that was like, oh, like black this and black that, and like that wasn't me. Like at the time, it wasn't me. Like it was only when George Floyd got murdered and I become popular. Like you gotta remember, I was on Twitch. I've been on Twitch for 7 years, right? I went from averaging 10 viewers. George Floyd gets murdered. Everyone goes, oh, I don't follow any black people, or I don't watch any black people in their brain. I'm not calling out anybody, but that's how it felt. And then I went from averaging 10 viewers to averaging 50 to 60 viewers overnight. And my follower count is blowing up. And I'm getting subscribers. And I've DM'd many people. They know who they are. And I was like, I don't feel like I deserve this. Like, I don't feel like I deserve this. And they're like, yeah, you do deserve it. It's a shame that it's taken someone to be murdered for people to realize that you're talented. And I think there's a lot of, like, there's so many black content creators out there. Again, I'm mixed race, by the way. I'm half white, half black. That's why I find it so ironic that people, like, get on me like, oh, he only cares about black people. I'm half white. What are you talking about? Like, stop it. But yeah, it's one of those things where I hadn't realized, like, the algorithm doesn't push people of color. Like, it doesn't happen as much. There aren't as many spaces. You go to, I've been lucky that I've been to a lot of press events, right? You look around these press rooms, there's no black people. I noticed it when I was watching IGN. I was like, why isn't there's only, back when I was watching IGN, there was just Bobby, who used to do the Madden stuff, if you remember him. And I'm like, bro, like, where, are there no black people in America? I'm pretty sure there are. Like, what's going on? There's no way you're going to tell me black people are not nerds. Because I know black people that are nerds and love video games, and like it become one of those places where you only saw black people in the fighting game space, and like, so well, no, like I've been working with obviously Nay Saga and the Nerd Council, and then I got my Xbox from Xbox through them, and my PlayStation come, and like a part of me is like, I'm super happy with those achievements, right? To work with Microsoft and to work with Sony is an amazing feeling, but there's still that part of me inside was like, oh, I only got it because I was black. And it's like, well, that sucks. And then, like, my subscriber count, which went from 3,000 to almost 5,000 on YouTube. It's like, did that only happen because I was black? And then my Twitter following, did that only happen because and everything comes down to, like, so am I actually good at what I do? Like, am I actually good at being a content creator? Because I don't have a clue. You might have saw my tweet yesterday or the day before. I'm like, I just want friends and people. It shouldn't have just said friends, but I just want people to be honest about the content. I'm someone that's very honest. You come in my chat and you're like, Fixer, what should I do? And I'm like, you, sir, you should do this. Does not make me right, by the way. It's just my opinion on what I think you should do. And I'd love for other people to be like, yo, Fixer, you put out this video. This bit was crap. And for me to go, thank you for that information. Ouch. It hurts. It hurts that it's crap. It hurts that I didn't do a good job with that. But thank you for letting me know that it's crap so I can go, oh, how can I rework this? How can I build this? I've been doing this 7 years. I still don't know if I'm good at it. Generally, I can't tell you that I'm good at it because it's not a school grade, right? You don't get A's and B's and C's and D's and U's and F's and all that. It's just you make the content, you put it out there for people. People like it, or they stay silent on it, or they hate it. Those people you can usually ignore. The ones that very much hate it is like, you're just having a bad day, or you feel the need to just shout on the internet for some reason, and then like the people that like it usually just watch the content and then bounce. And it's like those people are the people I'm like, what didn't you like about this? How can I improve on this? How can I get better? You know, you guys must know. You're creators yourselves. Like all you want to do is keep improving and keep getting better at what you do. And you need your audience and your friends and your family and everyone to be able to watch it and go, yeah, you could have this. I didn't like that part. That part was too slow, or that part was this. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Not to bring it back to race,
Oh, please.
but the one of the things that, because we could have moved away, but I don't want to move away yet. You mentioned something about George Floyd, and that's kind of when you started to realize and when people started to take notice. And I remember that boom, because I had started watching you probably maybe
Right after that.
a couple months, right in that range, and then
Yeah.
saw you kind of have that blow up.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because like Black History Month, you know, Latinx, you know, like Awareness Week,
Yep.
and Native American Awareness Week, and stuff
Yep.
like that, kind of came around, and it was the first time that I remember kind of hearing people going, "Why are we only doing this for a month? Why are we only
Yep.
celebrating these people? Why are we only celebrating women in this month? Why are we only celebrating these people in this month or this week? Why aren't we extending that outward and celebrating these people and these cultures beyond just these segmented times?" And you got to start to see some you know, more creators come onto content and start to do things that you weren't seeing as much.
Yeah.
And I think Kind of Funny themselves have benefited greatly from doing stuff like that, and expanding on it, and not just letting it be a one-time thing or a 1 month
Yeah.
thing. Like Paris, for example, kind of becoming a staple in their content, you know? And it's just kind of crazy that we're just seeing that now,
Yeah.
after all of this stuff. And it's great that it's happening. It just sucks that it had to happen because of this reason.
Yeah. It's
Asa
that thing
Green
though where
River.
sorry, go on. Asa is
Oh,
fantastic. I love Asa.
I was just gonna say he posted something that really hit home for me as far as being, you know, Indigenous people and stuff, about stuff going on in Canada, about, you know, whole schoolrooms of Indigenous people being trapped in like a schoolroom and burned down, and just all these travesties that people don't realize exist in our history as America. We think of America as the founding fathers and whatnot, and we kind of forget that people beyond that exist. The people that were here originally, the fact that the Latinx population was pushed out of California and New Mexico and shoved down into Mexico as we colonized, you know, west, and, you know, ripped people out of their homes and had to have people migrate and stuff like that. And, you know, it's sorry, it's
No, you're
always
good.
it's always hard to hear stuff like that, and and to think that people don't know why Christopher Columbus isn't, you know, an icon we should be praising. And anyway, I'm losing track of my conversation here. He was posting about that stuff, and, you know, that stuff still happens, even though we've been doing this for 400 years now. And so it's just like, I'm glad that it's happening, but why is it happening this slow?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer why it's happening this slow. I think it's more a case of you need, for there to be change, you need people of color in the room, right? Like that's the point, and always been the point. And I think you see it in like American football, like trying to get a black owner in American football is like never happening, right? Like it's one of those things. It's like people feel if they let others in, that means they're going to get less opportunities, which isn't true. Like that's just not true. But I can like talk about it from my point of view, obviously, which again, in the UK, people think like there's no racism. Like people talk like there's no racism. There's racism all the damn time. Like I'm in a interracial relationship. My fiance is white. And I remember walking along the street with my sister, and someone out their window just shouting "N-word lover" to my fiance, and I'm like, "What the, bro? Like, but we're in 2000 and something. What the hell's going on? What the
Yeah.
hell's going on? Like, it's nuts. Like, obviously, police officers stopping searches, all that stuff. Like, it's never gonna. The system has to change, and it's the same thing for the entertainment space. Like, until you put black people in charge and give them higher up roles and actually look around and notice that, oh, everyone's white. Or the front page of Twitch, and you look on there and it's all white people. I love looking at the front page of Twitch. I love Twitch as a platform, but you look at the front page of Twitch, like, oh, but we put the popular people on the front page. I'm like, yeah, but how did they get popular? Because they got opportunity. Like, that's how they got popular. You need to give other people, not just black people, other people a chance to get to grow, to build themselves up and give them opportunities. And that's something we still struggle with as a world. The world still struggles with it. Of like, if I give you an opportunity, it means I'm taking away from them. Or I'm taking away from this, or I'm taking away from that. And it's just not how it works. It's the same with content creation, right? It's collaboration, not competition. But that's true. But there is a form of competition there as well. And the cream rises to the top. At the end of the day, it's the people putting in the work. It's people like you guys who are doing it and doing what you're passionate about and what you love. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard out there. It's really, really hard. But we've all just got to work together to try and build each other up at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was looking at the top clips on Twitch recently, and there was an article on Kotaku about the top most viewed clip on Twitch for the month of May. I'm not going to go into what it was, but that led me into checking out what. Yeah, it was. But
I know it's my game. I've got to learn the business, bro.
I went into the, like all-time highest, and I thought it was crazy that the top 10 were pretty much all, guys. And two of them not only were men, but they were men watching clips of a Twitch streamer called Amaranth.
Amaranth, yeah.
Yeah, and
I know the clip they're talking about, by the way.
And it just blows my mind that something like that is the top clip when at the same time, like, she is streaming. She's out there streaming her content. Like, how is that clip of her not the top clip? It's this guy watching it.
Reaction content.
Well, yes, that's true.
That's what it is. That's literally people want to watch other people react to things. Doesn't matter. We think about it from the new Spider-Man trailer. No, right. It is literally the most thing I watch on YouTube now is like oddly satisfying videos of people watching oddly satisfied videos.
Sure.
Like, what am I doing with my time? Like, so you've got to think if it's whoever it is, it doesn't matter about the creator. That's how the game works. That is what it is. Like, it's not just a place where we play video games. It's so much bigger than that. And yeah, Twitch is a wild place. It can be. Obviously, we've had all this the hot tub meta and all that at the moment, and them figuring things out with that. Which, by the way, I'm on the side of anyone wants to do a hot tub stream. Shout out to you. Get your money. Get your money. If I could make money getting into hot tubs and sitting on bananas and writing names on my forehead, I would do it for 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 grand.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Like people want to get, again, that whole thing, people want to get annoyed about things. Just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
I actually didn't even know what you were talking about, like the watching satisfying things, like, was a thing until I was watching Gary Whitta one day, and he was watching this guy review products, just reviewing products, just random weird products he bought on Amazon to see how useful they were. And I'm like, okay, this is the side of content creation that I feel like not a lot of people understand or know about, and yet there's millions of views on it. So I'm totally wrong.
But do you know what? That's something that I've noticed within like the KF community, because mainly we're in it from a game perspective, right? We watch
Right.
video games or movies and TV shows, right? Like when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, do you know who this person is? And people are like, no, what are you talking about? I watch Kind of Funny. I'm like, oh, I watch YouTube. Because for me, I'm like, I want to know what everybody is doing because I want to know whether I want to move into those spaces. You know, like I don't just watch one form of content. And again, I watch content I don't even like half sometimes.
Uh-oh.
Watching this. Am I back?
Yep, you're back. You're
Yeah,
back.
we're back.
I'm like, why am I watching this piece of content? Why have I decided that I'm going to watch this? I may not like it, I may not enjoy it, but you've got to get into the psyche of like what people are doing and follow trends. It's really interesting. YouTube and Twitch and content creation is bigger than just sit down and play video games or sit down and do said thing. It's so much bigger than that.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back on track. Let's get back to you. McKenna, I believe you have a community question.
I do. This comes from Matt Phillips at Matt P Video. He asks,
Yep.
"Is this the last console generation?"
Oh, no, I don't think so. I went on podcast Unlocked and said that Xbox consoles would be dead in the next 20 to 30 years. And the audience didn't like that, let me tell you. But no, I think we still got a couple more generations in us, to be honest with you. The internet in the world isn't good enough for us to move fully to streaming. Streaming is fantastic. I'm sure if anyone's used Stadia or xCloud or whatever, PlayStation Now or whatever, like it's good. It just isn't there yet. But no, I don't personally think consoles are done yet. They still make a lot of money. Like I think Nintendo are going to be in the space forever because they make profits, unlike the rest of these companies. But yeah, I just no, not the last generation for me personally. I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's something that people have been talking about for a while. You know, there was people that were like, oh, PC gaming is dead, and then Steam happened. And now PC gaming is literally one of the largest spaces, if not the largest space. And then when that happened, people were like, oh, consoles are dead now. Consoles are dead. This is what was it, PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4? That's going to be the last generation. And then PlayStation 4 ended up outselling any other generation previously. And so I definitely think that as the infrastructure gets stronger, there will be less and less of a need for things like consoles and more need for things like platforms. But it is definitely an interesting thing to think about. My area, I live in California, and you think, oh, California, he's got to have like gig speed internet or whatever. Now I live in like Northern California with 100,000 people, nothing around me. My internet connection is horrid. So I can't support some like I'm lucky that I can stream and have it not crash every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Let alone stream games while I'm streaming.
I'm
Yeah,
able
we're
to
just
play
not there yet.
PlayStation Now games at nighttime. Like from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. is the only time my internet speed is consistent enough that I can stream games.
And you're
It's,
in Washington, right, Gage?
Yeah, I'm up in
Yeah.
Central Washington, which is again very like I look all around me. It's like there's just desert and mountains. That's it. There's nobody out here. It's crazy.
I'm never coming there. Let me tell you, never. Stand in London. Let me tell you, stand in
boy
London.
for
People
life.
always say that. Oh,
It's-
honestly, people say
yeah.
it to me all the time. Me and Haley are trying to buy a house, and they're like, "Oh, just move out of London. You'll be able to afford one." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'll also be miserable and like won't be in London. Like I'm not in Central, by the way, because everyone assumes like you live in London. Like I'm next to Buckingham Palace. I'm like having tea with the Queen, which I am not. I'm southeast, but yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I like to be able to get to lots of things whenever I want to. You know, I like to be able to get everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah,
Ben, you got bad internet as well. I've watched your streams.
That's something. That's something. They're better now. We've got a bit of an upgrade now, thankfully. So
Bad
watch
time.
this space.
Yeah, like I don't know what store equivalents would be, but the nearest Home Depot, which is like a hardware store, for me
Yeah.
is about I think an hour and a half away, and the nearest Best Buy, which is like a big time electronics store.
Yeah.
here- Okay. I never know because like I know
Oh
GameStop
no,
is like
I know
game.
what you're talking about. We
Yeah.
don't have either of those things. I'm
Okay.
just I know America.
It's 4 hours away. The nearest Best Buy is 4 hours away from me
Oh.
where I live. So
Yeah.
Damn,
the
that's
O2 is like half an hour away, if that. On a good drive, like 15 minutes. I can get to a game shop in like 10, 20 minutes max. Like, yeah, no, I need to be close. I've got like a town there, place there, place here. Like, yeah, nah. I can't be away from you can't be away from everything. It drive me crazy.
so as a content creator, one of the things anyone that works in creation of content, whether it's writing books, doing TV shows, everyone suffers from burnout. What do you do to combat that? Because I mean, doing it full time, I like when I do this, I feel like sometimes I get burnout because I'm doing so much. Working a full-time job, trying to do freelance stuff, and trying to do content creation. There's a little bit of stuff where I'm like, oh gosh, I need to take a weekend off or something like that. But doing it full time, I imagine the mental stress of that is so different because I can kind of decompress when I go to work. When I go to work, I just concentrate on my job. I don't think about the online opinions of what we're working on or what we're doing. You, on the other hand, that is what you're constantly worrying about. So, how do you, as a full-time content creator, deal with that stress, deal with burnout, stuff like that?
Yeah, the truth, I had a mental breakdown, like really bad one, like was it last year or a year before? Might have been the year before, 2018, I believe, where I took 2 months off. Like I was like, I'm not making no content, done. Just because I was burnt out badly, and ever since then I've been okay. Luckily in terms of like having a better schedule. Like I stopped. Number one thing I learned that streaming on Twitch constantly doesn't help you grow on Twitch. So as soon as I realized that, I cut down my streams to 3 days a week, which that helped because I was sitting there streaming for 8 to 10 hours a day on Twitch, not growing. It's making the content never burns me out because I love doing it so much, right? And again, like I said, I'm very fortunate that I say I'm fortunate. I pay an editor, even though I like cannot afford to pay an editor, but I pay an editor to take away all the stuff I don't like doing. Like I don't really like making TikToks. Like that's not something I enjoy doing. So Nick will then repurpose the content that we do make and make them into TikToks, which then helps with the growth of MCFixer. And then same with like I'll shoot a Let's Play. So now I've got it down to I sit down at the computer, I shoot the Let's Play for the hour, I send it off to Nick, I don't even think about it. Nick's so good at his job, right, that I don't need to. I don't even worry about, oh, I've got to tell him to do this or I've got to tell him to do that. It's like, nope. I know that me and Nick have this great relationship that I know he's going to do what I want him to do without even telling him. So I get to put the benefit of that. But for me, it's hard. I get in a lot of trouble with like people because I'm always on my phone. Like I check Twitter like every 30 seconds, or I check Instagram every 30 seconds, or I check the YouTube studio to see whether the new video is ranked and did it get enough views or did it get enough likes. And like it's really, really hard. I think for me, people always ask me like, when are you going to slow down? When are you going to slow down? When are you going to slow down? And I'm like, when I make it. That's when I'll slow down. I'll slow down when I make it. And I'm like, they're like, but you this is not a boasting thing, but it's like, what, you've partnered with Elgato, or you've done stuff with Ubisoft, and you've done this, you've done that. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm still a nobody. I'm still, and not, again, I'm not trying to be like the biggest thing since sliced bread, but I'm not making a livable wage. I'm still reliant upon my fiance for a lot of stuff. Not everything. I still make money, but I don't make enough money yet. So for me, I don't know, man. Like, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't become the best footballer in the world by stopping. Like, he kept pushing himself. And don't get me wrong, I understand I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo. But if I have to do things that 1%ers, you do what other people won't do. So I'll repeat that just in case. If you want a 1%er's life, you have to do the other things that other people don't want to do, right? 99% of people are not going to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to start streaming. But I am. And I'm going to stream for 8 hours, and then I happen to work, and then I play Apex with Fran and build that relationship. Or you get on and you might get hosted by Snowbite Mike or from Andy, and I've had like both of those things happen. It happens. If you have to put yourself in the right place to get those right opportunities to come, right? So honestly, burnout is something that I don't worry about anymore, but I just try and not think about watching films. I watch films with Haley. Like people are like, you should start a film podcast. I'm like, no, that's my thing. Like watching films, just chilling and relaxing is my thing. I get to sit down, relax, watch a film, and that's me. I get to do that. I watch TV. And yeah, that's kind of all I do. I watch sport as well. I don't watching Tottenham. They're very bad, unfortunately. But I watch them regularly. That's like my thing that I can do on a Saturday or a Sunday, where I just take the whole day off and I just watch them play. And yeah, England are going to win the Euros. Come on, England. But yeah, well, that's what I do. It's hard though. Honestly, being a full-time content creator is really, really hard. No one tells you about the parts of like, everyone assumes your full-time site's going right. No one tells you about the bits when it goes wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think as someone that has worked for Snowbike Mike and gotten some cool benefits through that, as in when I started streaming, I was able to kind of fly through the affiliate program because one night Snowbike Mike decided to raid me with 700 people, which threw my average viewer count through the roof for the rest of the month. So it made all of the other things like just streaming and, you know, getting followers, thank you to the Kind of Funny best friend community, fairly easy. And the big thing I took away from that is, even though I had a consistent 700 people watching me play Call of Duty horribly while making terrible jokes because I had no idea what to do with that many people in my chat. And then finding out that Ben's microphone wasn't on for a while. That was great.
It was so funny.
What it taught me was that it does, even when you get those right opportunities, even when you get those things like being hosted or rated by Andy or Snowbike Mike or whatever, it doesn't always mean that all of a sudden you're famous. All of a sudden you've made it. All of a sudden you've gotten all the followers you've ever needed. Just because of that one raid or whatever.
So I've been raided by Snowbike Mike for 200, 300, 400 people, Fran for 500, 600 people, Andy for 400, 300 people, Aiden the Fortnite streamer and Call of Duty streamer for 2,500. Kind of funny for, I think I did the they raided me during like a reaction stream I was doing one time for like over 1,000 people. No, that's not how it works. Like, you may get followers from that, and then those followers may give you a chance to check out the content. But no, like, you still got to be there for people. Scheduling is the most important thing when it comes to anything. Streaming, YouTube, people need to know that you are going to be there at that time. Simple as.
Is that your biggest tip fix for people? Is it keeping to a schedule? Is that the biggest piece of advice you'd have for them? No,
my biggest piece of advice is don't spend any money before you start. I hate it when people... what they do is they'll go and buy a DSLR camera or a big microphone and all this stuff, and they don't even know if they want to be a content creator. They think they want to be a content creator. They don't know they want to be a content creator. It's go and stream using your Xbox or your PlayStation for a month straight and realize this is actually what you want to do. Like, you have an Android phone or a whatever. Haley's like, can I sneak past? And he's go to the toilet, and she won't move. It's, you can post TikToks already without expensive equipment because you have a phone. You can post it on Instagram without that. You can post tweets. You can, all these things you can already do without spending money. So my number one thing to people is don't spend any money. I started off with an iPod Touch and a piece of Blue Tack. That's how I started making content. I was fortunate enough that I had a recording studio in my bedroom that I'd made from music, right? So I already had a nice mic, but even without that, I could have done it without it, right? And people just do this thing where they think they need this microphone and this camera and this and this, that, and they need LED lights behind them and whatever. You need to just start making content. The first 100 videos you're going to make is going to be crap. Don't care who you are. Mine are all up still. I leave all mine up on purpose so people can understand, like, oh, he did get better. He did progress. He didn't just start off good at all this. For me, it's like, go and make 100 videos to get good at what you're trying to make your passion and like what you want to be your job or whatever. But yeah, No, the schedule one is streaming so much different to YouTube and stuff like that. So there's like certain different ways of doing things, but don't fake being a content creator. Like we're all content creators anyway, because we're already using these social platforms. It's like if you cannot be bothered to make post 3 TikToks a day now, what makes you think you're gonna want to do it later? If you can't be bothered to post on your Instagram story now, what makes you think you're gonna want to do it when you've got an audience? Like, it doesn't change when you get the audience. You've got to have that same work rate and effort from day one, really, or get very, very lucky. I'm just not someone that I don't get lucky. There's no luck in people like, you're so lucky you did this. I'm like, there's no luck involved in what I do. Like, I put myself in certain situations where there's a chance I may get a different opportunity, but it's not lucky. It's not lucky I wake up early in the morning so I can hit the American audience that are just before they're going to bed. It's not lucky. I know that my audience is mostly American, so I have to get up at ridiculous o'clock in the morning. Or when I used to stream with Alfredo playing Division. It's like, it wasn't lucky. I paid him $100 to be his Patreon producer thingamajiggy thing at the time. I knew that if I played with Alfredo, I might get an audience from his audience, which ended up happening, which ended up becoming some of my best friends in here, Crash and other people. There's no luck involved in that. It's all calculated risks. And then I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting in a cold shed, because I was at my aunt's house, and we built a shed out for me to stream from, because, again, I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't be shouting and screaming in the house at that time. There's no luck involved in that. It's like you have to make those sacrifices and be willing to. But yeah, that's my number one tip. Don't spend money until you know you want to do it.
Great advice. No, I definitely second that. Obviously, I'm not a big time streamer, but I mean, we all know how I sort of got started just with my PS4, and that was pretty much it. A crappy old headset, $10. Like that's how I started out. So no, I
then
agree.
you improve from there, right? Like that's how you started, and then you build up and build up and build up and build up. But I think what people do is they watch whoever it is their favorite content creators, and like, oh, that person's got this computer and this and this that, and that's why they're big. No. They're big because they made good content and build an audience. It has nothing to do with the equipment they're using. The only reason why I want a new computer is so I can work faster. It's not gonna make my content look better or feel better or anything like that. It's just so I can render it faster.
Yeah. It also forces you to be a little bit more creative too. Like when I think back to what I had to do to even like that big Ultimate Chicken Horse stream and how that had to run and operate and how you have to actually really think ahead and as to what that might look like and how you're going to work certain things. It really prepares you for eventually when you can get the better equipment. So no, I agree. I think that's a great answer.
I think it prepares you for the job. Like that's the thing. Like people think like the majority of what I do is sit down and play video games. It's not. I play less video games now than I ever have. I do emails, and I'm scheduling TikToks, I'm scheduling content, or I'm finding SEO terms to search, or I'm like that's the job part of all this. Like it's never as easy. It's not for me anyway. It's not as easy as I just sit down and I post a video and it does well. It's about tagging. It's about making sure I post at the right time where people are awake. Like I know for a fact if I post my Xbox and me early in UK time, it doesn't perform as well compared to if I post it at like 12 o'clock at night because we're majority 85% American audience. So it's like all of those things. Those are the work parts of it all, right? It's not just the making the content part. I don't know. It's just it's weird.
As Photoshop posters, Ben and I have kind of came to the conclusion that if we post in the morning for like my time, like, you know, a little, maybe in the like early morning for Ben, that's like the highest point of when we're going to get the most kind of views, likes,
engagement,
and activity and engagement on those tweets. Whereas if like I work on something until midnight, for me, that's when, you know, like you were just saying, that's when you're getting up in the morning, or when, you know, people in the UK are getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll get some traction from that audience, but it's not nearly the same as it is for the American audience, and making sure that I post in that kind of morning span.
Yeah,
and
that's the business part, right? That's the business part of thinking about how are you going to get the most likes, the most retweets, the most engagement on this piece of content. And like, not everyone thinks that way. That's the people have a go at me on my streams, like, oh, you're always thinking business, and like they say it like it's a scummy thing. And it's like, well, no, I'm not thinking business in a scummy term. I'm thinking business in the way of like, how am I going to grow? Like, how am I going to keep making this sustainable? Like right now, I don't have a pension scheme because I'm self-employed, so I have to pay into my own pension scheme. Like all these things of like, if this doesn't work, I'm really in trouble in later life because I'll be working until I'm dead. So you've got to really figure all those parts out, I think.
I think that's great. I think it's good knowledge that a lot of people don't think about. I mean, I definitely felt that, like what you were talking about. I started streaming because my boss. This is a weird story. I don't think I've told this one on camera yet, but my boss was watching Out of Our Leagues, and he was like, "I'm tired of your camera cutting out, and like not keeping up with everything. So what if instead of for your normal bonus, I buy you a new computer?"
Oh wow.
And so that's
That's a
what
good boss.
allowed me. Yeah, he's been really kind to me. Um, but that's what allowed me to start trying to stream and trying to do these new things and branch out and figure out if it is something that I want to do more than what I'm doing now. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
never would have been able to do it. But on the flip side, my microphone is the same microphone I've been using since like whenever I started auditioning for voice acting back in like the early 2010s. And the Logitech webcam that I have is also from the early 2010s.
You got this bad boy. Is
So-
this the one you got? This one.
No, it's even smaller than that one,
Oh.
but it's
This
definitely
guy. What a noob, am
It's
I
a
right?
little-
Jeez
right?
Louise.
But yeah,
Now I've got another
it's-
community question here. Should we pass it over to our amazing, talented friend Nerf Alice, who says, if you could
yes.
have a theme song play every time you walk into a room, Fix, what would it be?
Stormzy Sharp.
Oh,
You heard that song?
no, what is it?
So the bar goes, man thinks he's better than me. Tell my man, shut up. You guys go listen to it afterwards. Honestly, I'm at that point in my life where I'm just like, shut up. Can't be bothered to deal with people's negativity. Just shut up. So when I walk in the room, just shut up. Leave me alone. Like, I'm such a friendly person. I really am. But the world has just grated me down. Like, I'm a cheese grater at this point, and I'm just like, the cheese just flowing through me. I'm just like, oh, leave me alone, man. Just put me on a bit of toast and let's just get it going. But yeah, that would be my song right now, Ben. But it would change. My mood would change because I also like Shane McMahon's "Here Comes the Money, Here Comes the Money, 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 Money." You all know, we know what I'm singing. I'm sorry, my singing's bad, but yeah.
Yeah, Phil's going to put the links
Those.
just down here for all those songs. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Right
we
here,
didn't
right
we
here.
get copyright strikes as well. I'm sorry. This episode's
Right.
making no money. I'm sorry.
That actually
We're
leads
used
me
to that.
another question. How do you feel and how are you dealing with the stuff like copyright strikes? Because obviously for YouTube, it's been around for quite a while, and it's just seemingly getting more and more strict every year. But Twitch obviously has recently started cracking down. There's been
Well,
rumors.
Twitch
of-
hasn't. It's not Twitch that's cracking down. It's record labels that are cracking down on Twitch.
Right. That's yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But on the platform of Twitch, there's been more crackdown of music being played, and there's talk of imagery as well, like wearing a shirt that is representative of a company. The company has the right to claim that video or whatever. How are you navigating that space, and how do you feel about that going on in the space right now?
Patreon.com/MCFixer. Like literally, honestly, I've been very honest and very open about like people always say to me like, "Oh, where's the best place to support you?" Patreon. Not that I don't want your support in other places, I do, but the safest way for me to keep doing what I'm doing, if I can make enough money on Patreon, right? Every single one of my videos can get 0 views. It won't matter. Like that stress of how many views a video gets would be gone because you would just be catering to the audience that actually cares and pays for the content, right? For Twitch to me is like Twitch. Unfortunately for Twitch, they haven't set themselves up right. Like it started as Justin TV, Amazon come along and buy them. It starts building. Drake streams with Ninja. boom, like it becomes this big thing. But they haven't done the dog work in terms of like having a back end system. They should have known this was all coming. Like, it hasn't really affected me yet, but the truth is, I'll keep making content and then not monetizing the content. I would turn all ads off on YouTube if I made enough money on Twitch, on Patreon. And I would do the same for Twitch, but you can't turn Twitch ads off, unfortunately. Because I would do that regardless. Like, you don't have to worry about those sorts of things if you can get your audience to support you in the right places, right? Like, same with Kind of Funny. Like, Kind of Funny always say they don't care about how many their views they get on YouTube because they have a dedicated audience on Patreon. So, as much as their videos are not doing 1 million views per video, they've traded that for the intimacy of us. We're sitting here now talking to each other. It's the same thing for me, which is like, I would rather have, I don't know, 200 Patreon supporters and I'm making a living, but I don't have to worry about DMCA or running ads on stuff. I think I just worry about sponsorship content and stuff like that. Like, this, as a business owner, you have to diversify where your money comes from anyway. Like, if I just relied on Twitch revenue, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Or if I just relied on Patreon, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Or YouTube ads or whatever. Like, it's all of those things coming together that make MCFixer as a business, right? So yeah, it's annoying. And like the old YouTube, do you remember when you used to just play videos? Like, any music you wanted? Like, it used to be so fun. It's like TikTok right now. That's how it felt back then. It's how TikTok is right now. But it's the same thing's going to happen with TikTok, even though TikTok is blowing up music. That's the difference. Of like, record labels understand it with TikTok, they don't understand it with streams. But I'm friends with a lot of like grime and rap artists, and they say they love it when streamers use their music. It's the record labels, and they feel like they deserve a piece of that money. But Twitch isn't set up the same way YouTube is, where they can copyright strike you, and then like a bunch of labels can get a piece of the money, and you get nothing. It's not set up that way. So what ends up happening is your whole channel just gets deleted, which is why you've got to be everywhere. You can't trust. It is not in Twitch's best interest to invest in you, so you don't only invest in them. You need to be everywhere. And hence why most people don't sign the partnership deal or don't do the affiliate. Because if you don't need that type of money, that signing those contracts stunts your growth. Because you could restream and be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at the exact same time. But if you sign that affiliate deal, you can't do that. But did you really need the money from the 10 people that sub to you? Do you need that, or is the growth worth more? That's where you've got to make that decision, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I think we have a couple community questions left. Gage, did you have another one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, McKenna.
I was only sent
No.
one, but I can pull up the tweet.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you want to know? Nitty gritty, whatever you
Definitely.
want.
I just wanted to get all the community questions out of the way real quick, because I have some more questions that go down a different road, and then Ben has a question he asks every guest, so we're gonna get to those. But I wanted to make sure we got all the community questions out of the way first, before we went on. So then the last community question that I have is from Matt Smith, or Lil underscore Smee,
Smitty, little Smitty, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Twitter, and he says, "What motivates you the most?"
Money. No, I'm joking. Happiness. Being happy.
Yeah.
Being happy is what motivates me, honestly. It's the one thing that I strive for every single day, and that's why the negativity gets to me so much. That's why when I feel like I've offended someone, I take it to heart. I really do. I'm never, ever am I trying to upset or offend or piss off or whatever. You might have to beat that. I'm sorry. Whatever it is. For me, I just want to be happy. I want to be happy, and I want everyone to win. I tweeted it the other day, like, I want everyone to win, and people are like, okay, bullshit, he doesn't want everyone to win. He only wants to win. I'm like, no, generally, I want everybody to win. That's why I say to people, invite me onto your podcast. If I can help with a little bit of exposure and you gain some subs from this, perfect. That's the plan, right? Like, we are all kind of funny best friends. We're all trying to make it. That is what we are. And yeah, what motivates me is money. Sorry, is happiness. And then secondary is then to make a living and learn health and stuff like that. But motivation is just being happy every single day. To be able to wake up, roll out of my bed right there, and sit at this desk and make content is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So yeah, just being happy is what motivates me every day.
Nice. All right, Gage, did you have any questions?
No, I think we've actually just naturally covered everything that I was curious about with talking about obviously the big blow up you had
Yeah.
last year and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm good. Whoever else wants to go ahead.
You didn't talk much. I'm sorry. I answered all your questions without you asking it.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry.
perfect. There's nothing better than when I don't actually have to ask the questions, because then I could just hear the answers naturally and enjoy it without having to be like, okay, so I want to talk about this. I hate asking questions, even though I have to do it all the time.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
Fair enough.
McKenna, how about you?
Oh, you mentioned the Euros. How excited are you for the Euros next week? Starting next week.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I wasn't even excited, yeah, until I bought this English shirt. I bought the English shirt like 2 days ago, yeah. And honestly, once I bought it, I was like, oh yeah, football's back. I'm looking forward to football being back, honestly, or soccer. Sorry. But yeah, I don't think England are gonna win, because we never win. We're terrible. We got all the potential in the world, but it just never happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's that time of the year where you can go to a pub and you get that community feel, even with a bunch of strangers, because you're all in there with your England shirts on, or wherever it is you go to your mate's house, but you're all rooting for the same thing, right? You like that is it's a feeling like no other. Like throughout the year for the Premiership, obviously it isn't like that. I support Tottenham. Most of my friends are Arsenal fans. Obviously, Tottenham and Arsenal don't get on. So yeah, for me, I'm just like, okay, cool. We all get to be friends now. We can all appreciate this one squad, and just that community feels nice. I'm not usually someone that goes to pubs and stuff, but even this year, I'm like, because we've all been stuck indoors, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna go out every game. I'm gonna try and go out every game and like actually go out and be a part of it for once. Maybe go up to London, like up to the actual city centre, because they got like the big screen they put up and put a bunch of chairs out. Maybe I actually go up there and do that, and yeah, just try to be a part of it for once.
It's gonna be good. Tell you what.
It's gonna be good. Gonna be good.
I'm excited.
Good. Who you rooting for?
I have no idea. I got wait, hold on. I can't find the notebook. I have a chart. Yeah, I should do England. I should. That's what everyone's telling. Well, oh, my English friends are telling me.
You know, just do England until we lose, and then you can just pick someone else. It's like me with me with basketball. LeBron's out now because I'm a LeBron fan. Now LeBron's gone. I'm like, huh? What other player do I like?
Any other questions, McKenna, or was that the big one? I know
think
this
that
is
was
your
the big
first
one.
introduction to MCFixer, so I know.
Yeah,
And I
like Gage
do.
did a bunch of my questions. Oh, fantastic.
All right, and then next up, Ben, do you have any other questions before we get to the main question you love to ask every guest?
Yes, I do have one. So my question is just obviously it's been a huge year for you, Fix, in regards to everything that's been happening in the last 12 months. Obviously, it's been, like you've talked about earlier, some amazing opportunities. I kind of just want to know what are sort of your top 3 highlights from the last year. Obviously, there's been a lot, so it'd be cool just to hear about some of those.
Getting my Xbox from Xbox was a special moment. I've been covering Xbox for 5 years, doing my Xbox and me, and never missed a week. So 297 weeks we've been going, never ever missed a week. Even when I went in hospital with my appendix, I put out an episode of me sat at the edge of my bed talking for 4 minutes straight, just like, we're not missing a week. I refuse. I was going to do the podcast in my hospital bed. I had my headphones ready to record and everything. Cause I'm just like, no, I've made a commitment to be in people's lives, and that's what I'm going to be. My whole life's been an open book. I've always said that. Like, when I come onto podcasts or anything, it's like nothing is off the tables with me. Like, ask me anything, because that's what I've traded, right? My life is an open book for people, and I want people to learn from the experiences of which I have. But getting my Xbox was one of those moments that, for me, I was like, wow, I got the Xbox Series X. a month before anybody else in the world. And the fact that Xbox trusted me to have an Xbox a month before anybody else, and to have this is my first review console, so I'm sitting there reviewing a console and being sent like all these games, and like it's just a whole different world the way it works. Like you have to sign your NDA for the console, and I can't talk about that obviously. But then like you get sent like the games separately, and then like once that's happened, like every PR person wants to know you then, because they're like, why don't I know you already? So yeah, that was amazing. That'd be like number one for me. Number two,
You might have actually been onto something with these hospital streams too. Like they might have been the new hot tub streams, you know?
hospital streams, you know. I should have done that.
Could have been the first fix. You know?
Number two, probably one that people be a little bit surprised about, but Mark was doing the community Zoom calls once a week. Like they were happening. I was in those every single week for 11 months. Never missed a Saturday. Got to know so many new kind of funny best friends. Obviously, shout out to Mark Freeman for setting all that up.
That's awesome.
And that was special. Like I spent Christmas with Mark. Like Christmas Day popped in there because he was like doing his own thing and stuff. We got to know people in like a really in-depth way, and that's like, again, I think that might be why like I take things to heart when I see things on the internet as well, because like the people who know you know that's not what you're about. So when strangers say things, you're like, that's not true. But yeah, like the Zoom calls might be like number two for me, because it allowed me to get to know so many people that I had heard of in the community, like people's names and stuff like that, and then a bunch of people that I hadn't. Like again, Shotgun being one of them, who's now my editor. I talk to Shotgun every day, like Mr. Mitch, and the list goes on. Like Ant and like loads of people. Like these people are now not only a part of my community, which is amazing and obviously fantastic for me, but they're people that I speak to every single day now. And like that's really special. It's something that, like I say, the internet is really good about. And like, yeah, I haven't been in the Zoom calls for a while. But yeah, that was probably number two on my list of like the last couple of years. Like I said Xbox, but I got my PlayStation as well, which is also very equal to Xbox. Is this for the same reasons of like having Sony reach out to you and be like, hey, we're gonna send you a PS5. I'm like, oh my god, I don't have to buy a PS5. Like for me, like again, I'm running this business on a shoestring budget, right? And I remember I just did a Raid Shadow Legend sponsored stream, and I was like, cool, that money is gonna pay for my PS5 because I probably won't get one, blah blah blah. And then I got one, and I'm like, oh my god. So then like that like frees up funds to be able to buy other things, and I was able to buy like a new camera and stuff like that. But yeah, like those two, PlayStation, Xbox, number one. The kind of funny Zoom calls weekly for 11 months straight. Like I was even in there when I was in hospital. But we haven't even got to that. We probably won't. But like that the Zoom call saved my life. Like I went in the Zoom call with a pain in my stomach, and went to hospital because of Sean, who was in the Zoom call, saying, "That sounds like your appendix. You should go to the hospital." I was getting ready to go to bed, and the doctor said to me, when after my operation, I was like, 10 minutes later, you might have died, because your appendix was in such bad shape and you had left it so long. Because I had appendix pain for the whole day. And it was only because of Sean in there saying, I had my appendix when I was a kid that sounds like that I even went to a hospital and then had to have an emergency surgery that saved my life. And like, there's more details to that, but I'm not going to bore you with them. So like that, the Zooms hold a very special place in my heart, and the community, obviously seeing people, meeting like a new Steven, but like getting to know Steven Saylor on a more intimate level. And like, it was like a place that I really got to express myself, because again, I'm a good talker. And if you put me amongst people, I won't let there be like an awkward silence. So I'm very much like trying to get everybody involved in the conversation, and like getting to know people, getting to know their personality traits and what they're into. And yeah, like those are number 1 and 2, or joint 1, 2. And then, number 3, that's a hard one. No, I mean, I partnered with Elgato, I've got Twitch partner, like I say, I worked with Ubisoft. I think to put it into like a ball of like just being noticed in the industry, it's been very nice.
Like, something on IGN would have been cool, IGN content, yeah.
Doing Unlocked was a very, very special moment. I listened to Ryan McCaffrey and Greg Miller from the age of 18 upwards, like religiously. So do you know what it is though, Ben? I'll be honest with you. I'm really bad at like staying in the moment. Like I remember doing meeting Greg at the Nando's meetup, which was like 400 people, 350 people turn up, and I had organized all that, but I was in such work mode of like, all right, make sure everyone's having a fun time, make sure everyone gets to meet Greg, make sure this, that, and the other. Like, you don't take it in for yourself, right? And then the same thing happened when I interviewed Greg, where I'm in such work mode of like doing it that then you look back and like I watched the interview, I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. I did that. And the same thing happens with me on Unlocked and anything else that I do. I just don't take in the moment very well because I'm just on to the next thing, trying to build. And yeah, so but just the industry noticing me has been special. As like, you know, you put the work and you put the man hours in, then to have them be like, oh yeah, we like you, we think you're cool. I hit 900 and it was like 967 subs on Twitch 1 month, so just shy of 1,000, and that to me was like, oh, this is what success tastes like. Like nothing. There was no other point where like I'd been on Twitch at that point 6 years and never had that sort of craziness happen to me. I was coming on streams and people were gifting 20 to 30 subs a day. Erengard gifted like 250 subs, and all these moments are happening, and like it's just like, what the heck is going on? Like Erengard found me. I don't know if you guys know Erengard, but Erengard found me from outside Xbox. And like to see Erengard find me from outside Xbox, I pull him into my channel, and then to see what he has done for the whole kind of funny community, nuts, like streamer wise anyway. Like to me, like that's a crazy moment for me as well.
That's fascinating because I always thought he was just part of the community from the get-go. That's awesome.
But doesn't even watch Kind of Funny.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
doesn't even watch. I don't know if he does now. Maybe he does now. But yeah, he found me from a charity stream I did on Outside Xbox, and then came over, supports me, and then I'm raiding Nerf Alice or a bunch of people. I don't want to name too many people just because then you forget somebody and everyone gets, hey, you didn't name me, how dare you? But yeah, you start raiding people, and then like he just built up relationships with all these people because again, I'm asleep when he's awake. So
That's funny what you were saying earlier as well about reflecting, because we actually hear from people that come on the show that it's actually quite almost therapeutic, because you never really actually take time to talk about yourself or actually sit down and think about, oh, actually, what have the last 12 months been like, you know?
I love it. This is my favorite thing to do, which sounds a little bit like, oh, you love talking about yourself, but no, it like allows me to go back and relive the moments, right? Like you ask a question about it, it's like, oh yeah, that did happen, and oh yeah, that moment felt good, so I was able to talk about that moment again. It's dope, and the bad. I'm not gonna like. It's good to touch on everything. Like, I'm definitely a person who like don't get high on your own supply, right? Like, I don't let the highs, like the good moments, I treat them exactly as I try to. Shouldn't say I do. I try to treat the good moments just the same as I treat the bad, so I'm neutral all the time. Because if the good moments are too good, you're in for a big fall. Like I knew my subscriber count wasn't going to stay at 900, so if I stayed there and then saw it drip, I could have went into a depression instantly when I saw that start happening, right? But you've got to treat those moments like, yeah, that was a great moment, that was a great moment in time, and then you've got to treat like the negatives the same way, which is always a lot harder. But yeah.
It's always good too because we can write it off for tax purposes as a therapy session for people as a like business.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Exactly.
We're smart here. And now for the question that I do ask everyone. So obviously it's in regards to Greg Miller. You've probably heard this question be asked. I'm sure you've had time to think about it, but it is, what is Greg Miller? Obviously a lot of theories going around. Is he an alien? Is he a different species? Is he some sort of person from the future? What is he, and how is he actually able to be everywhere at once is the question.
What? It just work rate. When you love something, it doesn't feel like work. Simple as that. You made me cough on my laugh at the same time, and now you've messed up my throat.
Hospital stream. Here we go. We're going for another hospital stream. It's good.
So what is he? So what's the question? So wait, repeat the question for me.
Essentially, it's what is Greg Miller and how is he able to be everywhere at once is the question.
Because he's there on Twitter while he's filming an episode of, P.S. I Love You, but then he's also liking posts on Instagram, and then he's emailing somebody, he's DMing somebody at the same time. He's doing all these crazy things all at once. You have no idea how he's doing it all at once. So are there multiple Gregs? Is there a robot Greg? Are there clone Gregs? Is he a demon? Can he duplicate himself? What's
Is he
your
a
theory?
sorcerer? No, who knows?
My theory is he's just a great human being.
Hmm.
If I know that's boring, and the one thing I want to like, people think like me and Greg DM on like a regular, and we're like best of friends. Like people say that to me all the time. I'm like, no, like that's not how this works. Like I'm not like me and Greg are not out here like planning cups of tea and stuff like that. Like, stop it. But he's a great human being. Like he's helped me so much. He's been my mentor. He's been my idol. He's been everything. Like there's no two ways about it. Like I remember when he followed me on Twitter, and I was just like, man, I made it. This is my moment. Like Greg Wither follows me on Twitter. Like this is it, right? And quickly, the longer you're in this industry, and again, you guys have probably noticed it now because you've spoken to so many people, right? All these people are just human beings. And with Greg, he's just a great human being, and he actually cares. And that's what he is. And he might be a little bit of an alien.
It's true. It's definitely some alien in there. We don't know how much, but there's definitely a little bit of alien.
Maybe 15% alien.
That's a great
that
answer.
That was a huge thing for me is when we got Rahul Kohli with the okay from him, deciding to come onto the show. It had been kind of a huge buildup for me because I didn't know him from like Kind of Funny Content and Rooster Teeth. I knew him from iZombie. I knew him from his acting career. And I knew him from the fact that he retweeted my Photoshop of him as Reed Richards, and it blew up with,
blew up, yeah, I remember that.
Like, yeah, it ended up getting like 50,000 likes across my account, his account, and his Instagram. And it just was crazy. It was featured on news websites. So there was this huge buildup of energy around the interview with him. And I was getting so nervous after he said yes. And it was like the night before, and my wife was literally like, hey, you have to remember he's just a person like you and me. And it helped me kind of like normalize and go back to like, you're right. He is like, I'm creating this narrative in my head of like all these crazy things that have happened, but you're right. He's just an awesome person and a cool guy, and I get to interview him tomorrow.
That's not Greg, because Greg's part alien. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, I learned that like I did Comic-Con a lot, and like doing that, I remember just being like, yeah, you're like, I met Tyler James Williams, who was on Walking Dead, and Everybody Hates Chris, and I remember like it wasn't a great time around him, but I remember being like, oh, you're just a human being. Like, yeah, you've been here for a long, long time talking to press. You don't want to talk to me, so like I get that. Like, and the same thing with everybody. Like when I met Greg, like you just realize like, oh yeah, they're just human beings like all of us. Like it. We put these people on pedestals. We do that. That's not them telling us to do that. We do that ourselves. So yeah, when you get to meet these people yourself, you're like, oh yeah, you're just a normal guy. You're just a normal guy or gal or non-binary person, whatever you are.
You just made me think about something that has been bugging me for a little while, and I think you're one of the perfect people to talk to about this, and that's putting things on pedestals is something that we love to do as humanity. Like every time there's a Nintendo Direct announced, people get these crazy, ridiculous hype things built into their head about what this show is going to be, without even knowing what it's going to be. And then they feel so let down when it's not. A great example was God of War getting delayed, right? Because they had presented the idea that it was going to be 2021, and then it got delayed. And so everyone was just up in arms about the fact that it got delayed, when in reality, like, why did you get yourself so built up about this idea that a logo we saw was going to come out this year? Like, realistically, as human beings, we should have been able to assess the idea that, hey, that's probably not coming out this year. So, like, chill. Or, that Nintendo Direct, like, why did you think that this was going to be announced there? Like, just let the things flow. Let them happen.
People don't understand that game dev is very hard. It's very hard. You have no
copy
idea
and
how
paste,
you can change one small thing, like, oh, I'm going to change the damage output on this pistol, and somehow that will break the movement speed of that enemy character, or that thing won't pop. The challenges. But everybody's like, well, you already made one, so like, why can't you just make the other one? It's like,
I love that.
I'm gonna
y'all played Cyberpunk, right? I mean, That's what happens when you rush something
Rush
out.
things
I
out,
must be the
yeah.
only person that
Uh,
gets excited by delays, eh? Like, I'm just like, yes, I can get back to my backlog. Woohoo!
I always
Yeah.
say that, and then I never go back. I'll boot up old games. I'm like, I'm gonna finally play this,
Rugrats?
and then
You
I
gonna go back
wind
to
up
Rugrats
deleting.
finally?
Dude, if I ever go back to Twitch, I'll stream that travesty again for you.
Thank you, Gage.
I think the
God.
one that always pops up into my head is the aliens, colonial marines, and like the one keyword in the code that was like messed up, and it messed up the entire enemy AI for every single alien in the game.
Yeah, no, it was just a fan that found it, right, and fixed it.
Right. Yep.
And
it was like
apparently
the
it actually...
GTA, the GTA load times, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a fan out there that fixed the GTA load times. It's like
Rockstar
what the
paid them
hell?
like $5,000 or
Yeah.
something for finding that
Something-
fix. Like,
Yeah, but
It's
I would have
insane.
wanted way more. I would have wanted
Yeah.
way more money. I'd be like, yo, I fixed this. Everyone's been complaining for years. I want 50 grand. Like, come on. No, I'm sure the fans are very happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
But what's the
But
question
anyway,
here? Like,
back on track. Like, yeah. So, why do you think people build these things up? Why do you think they put these conferences and these things on such high pedestals to where they get themselves built up into such a fervor that they are so disappointed at the end of it?
why do people do it? Because they want to be excited. I like my thing is I love getting excited. I love getting excited. E3 is a special time of year for me, and like you guys are getting me a week beforehand, which like I'm glad it wasn't a week after because I would have been dead on the floor for you all. Let me tell you. But yeah, I think it's that God of War, for instance, right? God of War was very obviously never coming out this year, but that's on Sony for even alluding to the fact it was going to. Like, but that is people don't understand the business of what video game dev is. Like, they don't understand the shareholders. They don't understand all of this. They just think of the game itself. They don't understand what's saying. Game dev is extremely hard. I've met so many game developers, and they're so amazingly talented. And I always say, I'm so sorry that I'm the idiot on the internet talking about your game. And they're like, nah, we love you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm an idiot. Like, I'm generally an idiot. I'm just a guy with an opinion, right? So I think it's twofold, right? Because you've got to remember these like conferences and directs and stuff, they are ads. That's what their job is to advertise their products. So I don't know how Nintendo feel about these people getting psyched up for it. It's more us, like the general normal person. Like, I don't ever get annoyed when I see people get excited for things. I get annoyed when they take that frustration out on people they shouldn't. That's like, you shouldn't take your frustration out on anyone, but like, why are you going to the devs about this? That's got nothing to do with them. That's literally nothing to do with them for a delay. Like, I guarantee the God of War team would say to Sony, hey, we are not getting this out this year. And there's someone behind the scenes going, yeah, we know, don't worry, this is for shareholders. Like, but that shouldn't be a thing. We need to be more open about things in the way we are with films in the video game industry, but if we do that as well, it takes away from all the hype and excitement and what E3 is, right? Like, next week, I'm going to have at least one thing through one of these conferences absolutely blow me away. Literally happened with Pokemon Snap. I remember when that got shown, I'm freaking out. I bought Pokemon Snap, I've still not played it. Like, that's just what we do. We like to be excited. We like to get happy. We like that hit of dopamine in us that gets us a little bit jittery and like, ooh, what's going to happen? But we also have that horrible side in us, which is people, not all of us, but some people have that horrible side of them where it's like, oh, well, this sucks. You lied. You're a piece of this. You're that and this. And it's like, well, no, the people you're saying this to is none of those things. But yeah, I don't know the answer of why. I don't know why we do it, but we just do.
I mean, I get it because yeah, like E3, when I heard E3 was coming back this year, even though it's a digital event, it still holds a lot of weight to us as the people that just kind of engross ourselves in that world in that space of video games. And I understand the excitement. What always baffles me though is when people get so upset because they thought something was going to be there that ended up not being there, whether it was because of a rumor, whether it was because they hadn't heard about a new entry in the series for a while, or whether it was announced a while ago and they were thinking that this would be the spot to, show it off, or whatever
Entitlement.
else.
Entitlement. That's what it is. Like human beings love to be entitled and think the world owes them something, and that's something like as I grew up, I learned very early. Like the world doesn't owe me anything, you know. So yeah, I think it's just people are entitled and they think everybody owes them what the thing they want. But
And then on
yeah,
the flip
it's
side of that, I love those surprises. I love those great drops. I love when, a company gets to do a conference and there's this awesome surprise in there. And of course, like in recent years, the horrible thing has been leaks. Like leaks have been destroying those surprises. But do you think there's a way that companies can manage these advertising events better, or do you think they should keep trying to do it the way they're doing it with the surprises? Because as much as I hate the idea of, these people continuing to be angry and disappointed and going after like Nintendo and devs, I mean, the fervor over Nintendo Switch Pro win and hey, is this Nintendo Switch Pro is crazy right now. The fervor is insane. And I feel like people are just going to continuously keep being disappointed by the fact that it's not dropping.
yeah, it's so I don't know. There's no better way to do it though. I don't like personally. I want it to keep going. I want it to stay the way it is. Like I'm out of a job from one side of my business if they take it away. Like there's nothing better than reacting to a show with my audience. I love that. Like that is so much fun, and like to see their level of excitement and my level of excitement for something. Like yeah, I'd never want that to go away. I never ever want that to go away. But I also want people to be a little bit more cognizant of what they say on the internet as well, right? Like that's the problem. It's like, but it's the vocal minority that are doing this, right? Like that's the thing. We do this thing where we paint with a very broad brush, and it's like this one person. Unfortunately, it's not usually just one person, but I'll use it for this example. Like this one person said something really shitty, but I wasn't the person then going, oh, again, like I said at the front, like I need to be the person who sees that comment and goes, hey, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Where like some people would prefer to just ignore it and then be like, oh well, we don't pay it no mind, then it doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't know. Keep the hype is what I'd say. Keep the hype.
All right. So to close out, I want to go into more personal fixer. So beans on toast.
Definitely
Do you
not.
partake? Okay.
No, I baked beans make me feel physically sick. Like if I eat this, if we go to the calf, go to like a local calf, me and my fiance, and she gets baked beans, I ask her to turn the plate around because I can't be near them because they make me feel sick. I think there's a thing actually like a bean phobia. Like I looked it up once. I think I might have that. Like it literally makes me gag. So beans on toast, hell no.
What would you say the most British like trope that you partake in is?
That I partake in.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not very British, you know. Like I am obviously my voice and all that, but like I am not. I don't drink tea. I love bangers and mash. Like that's a British thing, right? Like we love our sausage and mashed potato. What else? What's like a? I don't know. I'm like Haley. What's like the one British thing that I do? Like a British trope that I do. She's looking at me like, nope. She says I'm British. Everything I do is British. Sorry. I mean, I think more like slang, and like stuff like that is probably more what I do. Like what you like Nando's, eating Nando's. There you go.
There you go.
Love me Nando's. I love my Nando's.
We got it in the episode.
There you go.
We got Nando's in the episode.
There you go. There
What
it
about
is.
Marmite
There it
Fix?
is.
Are you a Marmite fan? Are you a Vegemite fan?
I like Marmite.
No.
Oh, I actually do have a question that does kind of
please.
piggyback off of this topic of being British. How do you pronounce the letter H?
Oh.
Well, my fiance is called Haley, and I call her nickname is H. So it's H.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
What is it meant to be?
No, we just give
Come on.
Kumail a lot of crap too, because Kumail pronounces it the same way. He says Kumail H, and I'm always like, it's just H.
H.
And so, yeah.
H. No,
H.
H. Ha, ha, H. Not H.
Like when Canadians are like, the alphabet goes from A to Z, and I'm like, you mean Z? They're like, no, Z.
No,
I'm like,
Z.
sure.
Yeah, A to Z, not Z. What is this? Get me off this show. How dare you, sir?
Just put that next to the extra U you put in words like color and flavor and rumor.
See, this is the problem.
Look,
now you're
I
assuming I
will-
can spell. I'm dyslexic, so I don't even know the
Okay,
differences.
fair enough.
So if Grammarly spells it the right way for me, perfect. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Like, I get
I
color
will-
wrong all the time. All the time, I
yeah.
get color wrong. Always.
So
Terrible.
this one goes out to Cool Greg. Favorite hip hop artist?
Oh, so I'll probably go favorite grime artist because grime's a offshoot of hip hop and rap. And right now, it's weird. It's actually really weird. I'm actually working with this person, but he's been like one of my favorite grime artists forever. His name's P Money, and it's
Wait.
weird. Like I listened to his music like since I was in secondary school.
Is that P Money from New
and-
Zealand?
No,
Oh, okay.
get out of it. That guy's not even a real guy. Get out of it.
Oh, poor P Money.
P Money from South London, which is where I'm from. But yeah, so him. But then American wise, Eminem, 50 Cent, Drake is obviously up there for me. And then I listen to like Tech Nine, bunch of underground rappers as well. J. Cole's very good. I haven't listened to his new album yet though, but I do that just to annoy my co-host Crash. He's super into hip hop, so he always comes on like, "Have you listened to this album?" I'm like, "No," and I do it on purpose just to upset him. So yeah, but my favorite hip hop artist, I guess, and if we put grime in with that as an offshoot, P Money right now. I listen to his songs all the time.
Nice. Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, so I figured that would be a nice shout out to Cool Greg. He always loves
Cool, Greg.
getting those snippets. I'll make sure we clip that out and send it over to him in his DMs. I think that's a great place to end the episode. Is there anything else that you want to pimp out? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to say? Tell people how you're doing, you know?
Just be good to each other. You can find me everywhere at MCFixer. Literally Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, OnlyFans. Nah, I'm just joshing. I don't have an OnlyFans yet. And yeah, honestly, thank you for doing this. Number one, thank you for having this platform. Thank you for doing it your way. That's the one thing that I love about this channel. And you guys know I actually watch it because I'm the guy in there going, "Where's the time codes? Where's the time codes, guys? I need time codes." So I actually watch the content, as I hope you know. I watch a lot of Kind of Funny Best Friend content. People don't realize how much I watch. Just because I'm a bit of a lurker, I'll just sort of watch and be gone. Like again, I'm always trying to improve myself. So and like seeing you guys where you started to where you're at now, I think it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, I popped so hard when you got Greg on because I know how big a deal it was for me to get Greg on. So and then seeing obviously the tears and the happiness and all that was amazing. And yeah, like just you guys are amazing. Keep doing you. Keep working hard. You've got a great team here, and like I love it. I absolutely love it. I hope one day I can come on again and I'm even more successful and we can talk about other things. So yeah, but get rid of Ben. He sucks.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just weighing everyone down, you know?
We are toying with the idea of doing anniversary episodes for certain guests. So
What you're going to say? We're toying with the idea of getting rid of him, but we'll see. We'll see
Sort
how
of
it
the idea
goes.
of getting rid of Ben.
It's probably a good call.
I can't get rid of that which doesn't exist, Ben.
It's true. It's true. I'm just a disembodied
Uh,
voice.
Gage, where can people find you and what are you up to?
Oh, yeah, you can find me at Twitter and basically find me everywhere at GF2Cool. That's just the handle I've used since I was like 12. So, yeah, cursed with that forever. Yeah, just here on Simply Sassy is where you can find all my stuff. I post stuff on Twitter sometimes. On a rare occasion, I'll do behind the scenes stuff and show you how I make backgrounds and overlays and stuff. So go check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Nice. McKenna, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PotterPants212, and then a bunch of other stuff that's linked on that page.
Stuff like patch notes,
Patch notes.
Weekly
notes,
gaming
format.
news show.
podcast that you're doing.
Yeah, short sports, our magical neighborhood. I'm everywhere, you know.
When am I on the sports podcast? That's what I want to know.
Well,
When we win the
Tell-
Euros. When we win the
yeah,
Euros.
yeah.
I'm
Come
there.
on, talk about the Euros. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Ben, where can people find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/pleasebeexcited, twitter.com/pleasebeexcited. We are just launching a brand new show called Look at This Photoshop. It's going to be good. You've been asking for it, so we're going to be doing just some Photoshops. I'm going to go through and teach you how you can actually Photoshop just using your phone. So Android or iOS, we'll just be having some fun and doing some tutorials and making some crazy Photoshop. So check it out there. Keep it locked to Simply Sassy because, and also to twitch.tv/pleasebeexcited again, just because we're doing a Invincible spoiler cast. We're obviously very relevant with our timing, with Invincible. We're not late to the party at all, but we just want to all get around and talk about it. So keep it locked to the channel for that. I think we're doing that next
When the hell did we
weekend.
decide this?
Like 3?
Oh, did you not know? I'm on that episode too. Forgot to tell you. My bad.
We actually have a great bunch of people that are going to be on that one. Robin, Jesse, Gifted Dim's going to be on there, which I'm super excited
Ooh.
about.
Maybe
I know
Gage now by the
him.
sounds of it,
Rahul's going to be on there. So there's going to be, not Rahul Kohli, just to confirm that. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of fun people on that episode. I guess you can find me at Phil J. Woodward or at Philip J. Woodward on pretty much everything. That's with 2 L's. Please check out our content, simplysassyvids.com. Thank you for watching this episode of Out of Our League. We really appreciate it. If you like what you're watching, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. And we'll see you in the next episode. And remember, you're all pretty good.
I did the thing.